enlivening change from Paparanga to Tornio, not so lively, gigantic. Sadhu Sanghas there. But there are devotees in the area, so we are feeling Krishna consciousness global Sankirtan map, here in Scandinavia, the corner of the northernmost place, the northernmost countries that Prabhupada visited, actually. We, as far as our record goes, Prabhupada, he was in Moscow, he went to Scotland, he went to like Montreal and northern places, that's for sure. But the northernmost was here in Scandinavia. That's where Prabhupada. So we are holding up a little corner here in Prabhupada's global, or Gorgatai's global Sankirtan map. So let's keep up the good work here, because this gathering and the vibration which we are creating here, it has repercussions far beyond this little room, I'll tell you. And I wanted to thank you all who braved this Arctic weather today. Lord Nityananda, he wanted us to show our bravery, go out and sit and start the cold car and come here in this minus 20 or whatever it is here, And the other thing is that it's Friday night, many of you have worked the whole week, and you could be, relaxing, or you could be, maybe distracted by some Mount Maya or some other things, but you kindly chose to come to the Krishna temple here, so that's wonderful. Congratulations on that good intelligence there, and let us take advantage of our good fortune here. Nityananda means eternal bliss, right? And little more about Nityananda's history, and then Trayodasi, that means the 13th day, right, of the moon. Moon is waxing. Tomorrow will be the Chaturdasi, I guess, right? And then the day after that will be the full moon, the Purnima. And this is the waxing moon. The moon is getting bigger. And it's Magha, the month of January here. That's when Nityananda appeared. I think it was 1474, if I got it right, something like that. 1474, approximately. He's 12 years older than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but I'm getting ahead of myself. We would begin the evening class with the Jai Radha Madhava, but I have, since it's Panchatattva season now, Panchatattva, Pancha means five, and the Tattva means the five truths, or the five statuses. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in the middle with being the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's Krishna, right? And he has appeared as a devotee. And his first expansion is Nityananda. And just like Krishna's first expansion is Balaram. And from Balaram come all the other incarnations and avatars. Swamsa and Vilasa, and what's the other? Vilas, and there's two categories of avatars there. So all of them come from Balaram. And now in this Kali Yuga, Krishna and Balaram have kindly appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the form of devotees with magnanimity, with being extremely generous. More about that soon, but there's five of them. Aside from Chaitanya Nityananda, there's also the avatar of Advaita Prabhu, and also the internal energy is Gadadhar. And then the Jiva devotees are represented by Srivas. So there's five in this Panchatattva. It's Panchatattva season now, because last Sunday we had Advaita Acharya's appearance day. Yeah. And now today, Friday, it's Nityananda. And then on the full moon day next month, 1 month from the day after tomorrow, I guess it must be, is the appearance day of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So to introduce this, I wanted to make some special prayers here. Yeah. So, can you give me a moment, please? Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishnaya Chaitanya Namna Gora Tishe Namaha. O most magnificent incarnation, you are Krishna himself appearing as Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You have assumed the golden color of Srimati Radharani, and you are widely distributing pure love of Krishna. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Nityanandam aham naami sarvananda param harinama pranam devam avaduta shiromanim. So I bow down to Lord Nityananda, who's the supreme bestower of all joy, the divine Lord who delivers the holy name of Hari, the crest jewel of all avadutas. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sohitao Galdodayai Pushpavantao Chitram Sandao Tabodao. So the most magnificent Chaitanya and Nityananda, they appeared on the horizon like the sun and the moon simultaneously on the horizon of Bengal, to dissipate the darkness in this age of Kali. Everybody. Panchatattvat akam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Now, thank you, Sarit. Suridan Sarvabhutana, my old friend. So one thing I would like to share here actually is, how do I get to my desktop? There's, it's a little bit about the expansions of the Lord that, there we go, that they, the whole world actually has, there is quite a discussion now going on in scientific circles about what is the basis of reality. There are many scientists who are convinced, since I guess, the late Middle Ages, around the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda's appearance, that that science has now disproved that there is some, something more than the physical world, which we are in scientific accomplishments, being able to measure and to predict. That's the scientific system, And now with since centuries, the technology has been developing, and now it's going, rampant now with digitalization. Now there's enormous amounts of data, about all kinds of whatever it may be, For example, how you hear something, the air from the lungs comes out through the larynx and the mouth and by the tongue and all the system of articulation. The air is makes special waves that goes into the ear, and then that registers in a place there, and it's transformed into electric, and it goes into the brain. It makes patterns. And then the brain, recognizes this meant something. It's like they have immense amount of data about everything like that. So they think that there's a number of science that this matter. It's the brain. The brain. When the brain no longer works, then consciousness is gone. It's it's visible. It's visible. Oh, thank you. Thank God. Yeah. So, but there's a lot of scientists now. They have been forced because of development, especially in cosmology. The astronomy, in physics. And also in neurology, they have a hard problem with consciousness. They cannot explain how these, signals that are sent into the brain, how that transforms into an experience, into, something which gives values, which has meaning. They have the scientific measurements and all their data, they have absolutely useless for explaining, something that has a meaning. So they have a problem there, so there's a lot of scientists now who are beginning to argue, with their professional credits, that the basis of reality is not simply matter, it's not simply the brain, but there is actually something metaphysical. There's something beyond the physical, consciousness. So, this is related here to Nityananda, because Nityananda is he's Balaram, and Balaram expands into Shankarshan, and from Shankarshan come, for example, Mahavishnu and the other incarnations who are the basis of the Vedic cosmology. More about that soon, but I just wanted to show you something here. Yeah, hard problem of consciousness. And so this is the picture of the Vedic cosmology, where according to the Puranas particularly, the Mahavishnu, he emanates from the pores of his body in sleep, yoga, nidra. All these Brahmandas, these egg-like, unlimited numbers of egg-like universes. And in each one, he expands in the form of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. He enters into each one of them, and he lays down in the bottom of this egg, this universal egg, in an ocean there, which is created by his perspiration. And he rests on the bed of Shankarshan, who is an expansion of Lord Balaram and Lord Nityananda Ram. And that is the Vedic cosmology, which one can perceive only through the help of the Vedas. If one has the proper attitude and prerequisite, in other words, one knowledge, there's no information without transformation. There's no cognition without recognition. In other words, knowledge is not simply a matter of cold facts. The knowledge is actually a result of a state of being of the learner. So if the learner is, the Vedic learner, the prerequisite is that one is in the mode of goodness. One is not intoxicated. One is not an animal eater, unnecessarily violent. One is an honest person. One is clean. Activities, for example, which make us polluted. But a person who is peaceful, sober, and who has a positive attitude towards the Supreme Lord, that's the basic prerequisite for actually approaching the Vedas. But there's another very, very important Nityananda-related prerequisite, and that is that we can only understand the Vedas through the help of a spiritual master. Because the Vedas are inconceivable. They're eternal sound vibrations from the Supreme Lord. And nobody can, on their own, can possibly understand this inconceivable metaphysical truth unless it is related to one by a capable representative of the Supreme Lord who comes in this line. The Lord, he transferred the Vedas in the form of a mantra, Om, the Gayatri mantra, his flute playing into the ear of Brahma. Brahma, he transferred it to his first disciple, which is Narada. Narada, he transferred it to Vyasa, and Vyasa compiled it. He's the editor of the Vedas. So the spiritual master is called, Vyasa's representative, his delegate, sent by Vyasadeva to deliver this important message in a way which is understandable. So we're all here today grateful to Srila Prabhupada because he has delivered this in a way which we can all more or less understand. It's not a one stroke job, all working on understanding the Vedic message and Krishna consciousness. But basically, we have a good view of it. Thanks be to God and Krishna, and especially the spiritual master. So that's Nityananda is the original spiritual master. From him, nobody can approach Lord Chaitanya without having the blessings and the mercy of Lord Nityananda. Just like Krishna is Balahine Nalavya, Nayamatma Balahine Nalavya. You can't approach Krishna without going through Balaram. So now I wanted to get back to the PowerPoint. I think I can manage this, maybe. Yeah.
And then the full screen.
Full screen. Oh yeah, right.
Again.
There, and then this one here.
This one.
Here.
This one more, right? Yes.
I usually like to do this one. Let me
That's cool.
it's also full screen.
Okay.
Okay? IT expert. So this is a picture of, this is Garbhodakshai Vishnu at the bottom of each of these andas, right? There is this ocean, the Garbha ocean, and then Garbhodakshai Vishnu, he lays down in there. And from his navel sprouts a lotus stem. And on the top of that stem, there's a lotus, and that's the Brahma, Lord Brahma, the first created being. So this is the Vedic cosmology in a nutshell. It's, explained in the Puranas, particularly the Bhagavad Purana, in, elaborate explanations about the Virata Rupa and everything, which is very important for, relating the scientific cosmology according to the, cold science astronomers to the Vedic concept. The Virat Rupa is very important. But in any case, in this regard to Nityananda, you see that this bed is Ananta Shesh. Shesh means he's a snake with an unlimited number of heads. And from all these heads in their tongue, he's chanting constantly the glories of the Lord, and he never is finished. He goes on and on and on forever. And it's, so this is Ananta. And the Ananta is credited with being the source of the universe, the basis of the universe. What, since Einstein, since, his theory of relativity, 1920, and now we have quantum mechanics, which has evolved from that. And from that they have the idea of gravitation. So this is, according to the Vedic view, this is from Nityananda comes Anantashesh. Now, in this regard, I would like to introduce one thing here. How do I get out of here? Back here. Yeah, the audio.
We can do ask.
Yeah, okay, I'm back to here. Now, yeah, but I wanted to show. Now, yeah, this is here in the Bhagavatam, in the 5th canto, which is now by his divine inspiration, Lord Srila Prabhupada, he chose to focus his tremendous heritage on making the temple of the Vedic planetarium in Mayapur, the biggest temple, Hindu temple to be built in centuries, and it's like God's grace, Mongoose Vilayashay, they say Hari Icha, Inshallah, it'll be inaugurated next fall in same time as Srila Prabhupada's 50th disappearance day anniversary. Prabhupada disappeared in 1977, right? So next year, 2027, that'll be the 50th anniversary of Prabhupada's disappearance, right? So at that time, there will be a 3-month inauguration of the Temple of Vedic Planetarium. There's still a lot of work to be done, but let's say, it was planned that it would already be ready, but then the COVID came and, did a lot of hindrances. But anyway, this is from the 5th canto here, which is the basis of the structure of the Vedic cosmology, which will be demonstrated in the Temple of Vedic Planetarium. So here, Shukadeva Goswami, the speaker of the Bhagavad Purana, he says, the great universe situated on one of Lord Anantadev's thousands of hoods. Anantadev was this bed of Vishnu, right there in the Garbhodakshai. And and it appears just like a white mustard seed. So, the whole universe is just, the size of a mustard seed, like this big. And he goes on, he says, he resides beneath the lower planetary system and easily contains the entire universe. Yeah. And even if he is distressed or degraded, any person who chants the holy name of the Lord, having heard it from a bona fide spiritual master, is immediately purified. Yeah. Ananta, he, at the end of the universe, well, let me see, I think this is, I'm getting ahead of myself. Yeah, all living entities, for the welfare of all living entities within the material world, he resides in his abode, restraining his anger and intolerance. Yeah, he actually is the sort from, at the time of the devastation of the universe, there's creation, maintenance, and finally destruction. And at the end, fire comes from his mouth and burns the whole universe. But he's restraining his anger out of kindness, because why is he angry? He's angry because, we have all neglected or rejected our great opportunity to reinstate our relationship with the Supreme Lord as human beings. We have this tremendous opportunity. But if we just waste it on, wine, women, and whatever, he becomes a little disappointed. And finally, he becomes so angry that at the time of devastation, he goes out. At the time of devastation, when Lord Anantadev desires to destroy the entire creation, he becomes slightly angry. Okay. Now, one thing I always, we have had a very nice kirtan here, right? And we have the traditional instruments of, the harmonium and the mridanga and the kartals, and we love it. It's wonderful, isn't it? But, there's some people who like modern music, right? Yes. So there was one spiritual master here who was very significant here in Finland up until when he passed away in 2007. His name was Sahotra Swami. Many of us, the elder devotees here, have very clear memories. Sahotra Swami, very special personality.
Fond memories.
Fond memories, yeah. It's kind of an avaduta in some regards. Especially in this song now that I always relate this to Nityananda Ram's appearance day, because Nityananda Ram was avaduta, we heard. Avaduta means that he's kind of like, a spontaneous person, like a youngster who just like is joyous and, does, spontaneous things. That's kind of Avaduta style. So Nityananda is Avaduta, and this song is kind of Avaduta. So I would just like to play the first verse of it because it's in modern music style, modern music. But the first, let's listen to it's about a man who's having a spiritual crisis. He has everything, he's rich, he has all the, whatever he wants, he's got it. But at the same time, he's totally dissatisfied. He's got some aching in his heart and it's driving him crazy. And, he's just, at the point of a nervous breakdown, and he just decides, I'm just going to go to sleep and that's it. Just pull the blanket over my head. And then he sees Shankarshan. But we'll play this song here. Let me see, where do I have it? There. Okay. Okay, so this is Sahotra Swami singing that first.
Midnight, I lay myself to sleep and I try to forget about my loneliness and my worry. They say I have it all, but I'm just caught in a net of a satisfied desire. There's an aching in my soul that is driving me mad. I just want darkness to overcome me. Rolling away the sleep, carry.
Okay, yeah, stop. That's enough. That's enough. Okay, this is modern music, and it's. I think that's enough.
Let's snuggle in together. Sonny and Cher, the orphan squirrel glider joeys. And her baby are in the Byron Bay Wildlife Hospital.
Okay, so yeah, this is.
As she's fallen, she's actually scratched her eye on a branch.
Right. No, we can close it now.
Unstoppable.
Yeah. Yeah. Or no, back to the word. Yeah, Yogindra Vairagya, there's a term that Rupa Goswami introduced that to take something which is material, like this modern music, and to use it in the service of Krishna. And that's what Sotra Swami did, and it's really in the spirit of Nityananda, this Ananta Shesh. I'll just, we can go on in the, where are we? Here we are. Yeah, this man who's having this spiritual crisis, he's like us now. We have in our modern urban life, we have so many comforts. We have all the benefits of technology. And the problem is that we have no peace of mind whatsoever. And especially young people, almost all my teacher colleagues, they will all agree that the young people today are very lost. The future looks very unstable and meaning, and some. So that's our problem. We have, because the money and the enjoyment and materialistic advancement, it doesn't give you peace of mind. Without Krishna, without spiritual authenticity, it just doesn't work. That's our situation. That's exactly what this song is about. So then what happens is this man,
Along with sun.
I was floating through the night, leaving my body behind. I saw the universe below me, like a tiny mustard seed that I could hardly find. There were 1 billion of them, or like that one. Each one was like the jewel on the head of a snake. With 1 billion tongues, he was singing, and I was wondering if I'm asleep or awake. This is very, it's a nice, interesting song to utilize, bring Krishna to, endless form, endless bliss, the Supreme Lord, he appears like this. This is an unusual way to think of God, as a serpent with a jewel on his head, holding up the universe. This is quite unusual idea of God. I was shaken and bewildered. All my petty problems simply vanished from view. And I heard the nectar of his singing. It filled my very soul with most wonderful truth. My only wish is to see him with millions of hoods spread across the eternity. He's the resting place of Vishnu. He's always merciful to the most fallen like me. It's very nice encapsulament here. And then the song really builds up at the end. It gets really heavy. At the time of devastation, a fire emanates from his millions of mouths. It sets the galaxies ablazing. It's by our ignorance that his wrath is aroused. But if we take his mercy, Ananta will deliver us from all our worst fears. So don't you fail to believe me. Just let his divine singing flow right into your ears. It's a very poetic song, actually, and it's really Krishna conscious here. So, I would like to wrap up here with Guru. to emphasize the importance of Guru Tattva. That Nityananda Ram, he is the original spiritual master. And by the grace of the spiritual master, we are able to approach Krishna. Yasya prasada bhagavat prasada, yasya aprasada nagati gatopi. Krishna, when we are serious and in need, that Krishna kindly comes he appears before us physically. He's in our hearts, right? The Guru is various tattvas. There's various kinds. There's the Chaitya Guru, the Guru in the heart. That's our intuition. That's our intelligence. That's our memory. That is a manifestation of Krishna in our heart. That's the Chaitya Guru. But when we are really serious, then Krishna will kindly come. Krishna, he keeps bhakti, devotion, a little hidden behind his back, you could say. If you want jnana and like liberation, he'll give that. That's not a big deal. It's not so difficult for Krishna. You can get that. Or what to speak if you want karma, if you want by pious activities, you want to enjoy the material world by getting, very elaborate benefits. There's heavenly planets, and Krishna will give that. It's not a big deal. But bhakti, Krishna, will keep that behind. He doesn't give that because he becomes very much personally involved. He becomes, you can use the word implicated, so that he's very reserved about to whom bhakti can be given. But the spiritual master is Krishna's mercy incarnation. And he goes here, there, and everywhere to try and reclaim we who have forgotten or maybe even revolted and rejected and ignored Krishna. And he'll approach us in our ignorance. He'll take a risk like that. Although in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, don't teach this Bhagavad Gita to someone who's not austere, who's not devoted, or who's envious. Don't give it to them. So that the spiritual master really has no business going into a bar or a brothel or some terrible place like in Kali Yuga. Practically everywhere is a bar and brothel. So he comes and he'll approach people, and he sends the devotees out on the street to chant. That was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission in Navadvip. He started the Sankirtan movement. They went out into the street and were chanting and causing a ruckus. The smarter brahmanas, they complained to the Nawab, that this is disturbing Mahavishnu's sleeping, so stop them. Similarly, today all over the world, you can see devotees going out in the street and chanting and getting people to dance. Some of them don't even know what it's all about, but they see this people out there, dancing, and they just become like absorbed in it. So this is the spiritual master's kindness. But when Krishna sees that somebody is a little serious and a little is ready, then Krishna will send the spiritual master to manifest before him. And that first comes in the form of a shiksha guru. Shiksha means instructing. So the spiritual master will give us good guidance. Why you are why are you denying that your heart is just like this fellow in the song? You have everything, but you have this aching in your heart that is driving you crazy. You're not peaceful. You know, the spiritual master will ask, why don't you turn your attention to that problem? Why you are, simply thinking the problem is that I need more money, or I need another wife, or I need this or that or the other thing. No, you should know what we really need is that how to solve that problem. Nowadays, you read the newspaper, or, I don't read newspaper, but, check the news out a little each day, not much. Because, it's like a horror story, the news every day. Another murder, another politician who's a sex, abuser, and so many, it's like one, and how many millions of soldiers were, in these 5 years, on both the Ukrainian and the Russian side, how many millions of soldiers have gone down, civilians, and, it's like a nightmare to read the newspaper nowadays, So, one thing that a good, it was actually Padapa who told me today, there he is, that, what's her name? The wife of Shankarshan? Vishnu Priya Mataji was here in September, I think in the fall or sometime. And I think it was Tapu Divyam who asked her the question, what about the crisis in the world now, the war and the environment, and, there's so many things in this unstable and, scary, situation. And she just said, an intelligent, correct me if I'm wrong, she said an intelligent person doesn't worry about things which you have absolutely no capability of controlling. Yeah, thank you. What's the use? If you're going to worry about, the Himalayan mountains glacier is melting, what are you going to worry about that for, But what you can worry about is, what is your dharma, what is your duty, what are you supposed to be doing? Are you in the right place? Are you actually, being true to yourself? Do you have integrity to, especially if you're a devotee and you're initiated and you're trying to follow the principles, are you really sincerely, are you what's the word in Bhagavad Gita, they call it properly situated in your determination? Maybe you have bad habits, God knows, speaking for myself, I'm not going to go into it, but that's another thing. To be weak, that's all right. That's our constitutional position. We're tiny. But to be a cheater, to be, denying, to be, that's another thing. That. So I'm just going to wrap up here now that the Guru, and I hope that there'll be some questions here. I would love to have some discussion here. But I just want to emphasize that Nityananda Prabhu is the original spiritual master, and there's absolutely no way that we're going to be able to prepare ourselves for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance day next month without the grace of Nityananda. And that means that we really have a great need and benefit from contacting our own spiritual masters. If you're not an initiated devotee who has a physical spiritual master, we all have Srila Prabhupada and his books, and that is the Shiksha Guru, and that's the really important thing. Diksha is necessary. I'm not trying to minimize. That's to actually approach the spiritual master and to recognize that this spiritual master is my spiritual master. Why do you know that? Because the spiritual master extinguishes the fire of material life, and that is in the form of this anxiety. We have this doubt and bewilderment and discomfort deep in our heart. And when that spiritual master gives you freedom from that, then this is my spiritual master. So, but that Diksha is important, but the most important thing is to take shelter of the instructions, and we all have Srila Prabhupada's instructions. please read Bhagavad Gita, read, whatever book you like of Srila Prabhupada, or books about Srila Prabhupada, or books by Prabhupada's devotees. Take shelter there and let that spiritual message enter into your heart. Nityananda Ram ki jai. ISKCON Helsinki ki jai. Nityananda Trayodasi ki jai. Hare Krishna. Somebody like to break the ice with a comment or question? Yeah, we have a microphone, or how is it? In the corner there. Okay, you have a good voice. Let's hear it.
My question is, when you said when Shri Krishna plays the flute, the transcendental vibration comes home, and then you said about the Vyasa and Narada. Can you explain that portion again?
Yeah, there was a nice question. You were listening. Thank you. Wonderful. That really, inspires a teacher if there's somebody who's actually listening. That's amazing. Okay, but there was one thing you didn't hear was, the flute and the Om, but there was one step more, the Gayatri.
Can you explain that portion?
Well, we can't explain the Gayatri. That's confidential.
But can you repeat the thing you said?
The link, well, yeah, it's Krishna, and he's, Apurushaya. He's not a person of this material world who has these four faults, being confused, making mistakes, having limited sentences, and having a tendency to withhold important information like a cheating teacher would or something. No, he's not. He's Apurusha. He's on the other side. So that shabda, that sound, that's anavriti shabda. That's coming into Brahma's ear because he was all alone. He was the first person in the universe. There was nobody there. But then he heard the sound, and it entered in the form of Om, and that was the Gayatri mantra, which is the beginning of the Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam, the first verse is Dhimahi, but the whole mantra of the Gayatri is never given in any part in the whole Bhagavatam, 18,000 verses, because that's confidential. That you have to get from the mouth of a guru who has given you initiation.
I don't want the Gayatri mantra. I just want to hear about. You said it goes from Brahma, like you are.
Oh, okay.
I know there's 66 section, but then that. Because I just want to take it all, and I don't want to miss one moment or any portion. That's why I'm listening.
Nice. That's a good anxiety. Krishna will give you blessings for that interest.
So I heard when you said from Narada to.
Yeah. It was Brahma, then Narada, then Narada to Vyasa, then Vyasa to Madhva, and then Madhva coming down to Chaitanya, and then, coming down.
Now I'm at peace because I heard now the whole thing.
Wonderful. But don't be complacent now.
Never.
You keep moving, okay? Thank you very much. Another question.
You should start now.
Huh?
You should start now.
We start now. Okay, it's time for the Abhishek, okay? So one thing is that before we start, I would just like to, it's going now, is it?
Yeah, the screen is on.
Okay, the screen is off. Okay, but because Nityananda Abhishek, the bathing of the deity, of the statue, the gestalt of Nityananda, will be pouring, substances. This is a traditional way of honoring the Lord on his birthday. So, but we're gonna have a special bhajan for this. We're gonna chant Gauravashtaka, right?
Can't we put it?
Yeah, okay. We're gonna chant Gauravashtaka, but we're not. How many of you know this? The prayers, the 8 prayers in the glorification of the spiritual master. How many knows the Gauravashtaka? Okay, not so many. All right, but it's sung every morning in the ISKCON temples around the world, but in a morning melody. But it's not morning now, you may have noticed. So we're gonna introduce an evening melody, okay? So we have to kind of unplug the programming of our morning melody, finished. And we're gonna learn a new evening melody, okay? But we were a little warmed up. We already, were practicing. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namde Gaura Tishe Namaha. To be the same thing. Samsaradava Nalita Loka. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Okay? So it'll maybe take a while to catch on. It's a little new. But we'll have the text here, and we'll have the assistance of Surit playing on the harmonium, so it'll be possible to actually capture this new melody. Thank you very much.
Prabhu ki jai.